So today we'll be seeing the genetic causes of aging. I thank Vaishnavi for sharing the slide. Uh, so we have seen in the past 4 units, we have been studying about the developmental process. And in the last lecture, that is the first session of our fifth unit, we dealt about the different causes by which the repaired tissue systems uh, is altered. That is the process what we call it as regeneration. So the next topic is, as we all know that the process, the biological process is in a way against the law of thermodynamics. Probably you know that, right? The natural laws of thermodynamics states that there should be an entropy, and the entropy of the system is always increasing. That means normally the process will be from order to disorder, not the other way. But if you look at the biological process, birth, the development, everything is against the laws of thermodynamics, which is compensated by spending the energy in the catabolic and anabolic processes. So this particular process of aging and the molecular cellular mechanisms associated with this process of aging is what we are going to study today. So what do we call it as aging? Okay, so in general, you can study we can say or define the aging as accumulation of changes. You can see the accumulation of changes in the human being. This is with reference to the human being, but it applies to all the animals and the living beings, right? With time, there will be changes in the living things over time that we have seen, right? It is manifested in three different ways. One is physical, the other one is psychological, and the social changes. So this is with reference to the human beings. But what as biologists, as developmental genetists, we are concerned about this particular part alone, the physical changes that you will be observing during the process of aging, right? Psychological and social changes is a subject of different field of study. If you look at it, biological aging are the physical changes that is happening in the aging, right? It manifested in several ways. One is epigenetics. You know what is epigenetics, right? The changes that is not in the DNA over the DNA, and the lifestyle induced changes, and disease and environment. All these things influence our genetic makeup. Epigenetics, lifestyle, disease, environment. All the four things influences our genetic makeup. So what happens? So this may cause two things. One is the process of molecular hallmarks of aging that we will study one by one in the remaining part of the lecture. This causes the molecular hallmarks of aging causes decline of organ or system level physiological function. So the genetics influenced by the epigenetics, lifestyle, disease, and environment influences certain molecular activities, which in turn makes a decline the functioning of the organ systems. So this both together, right? This both together, we call it as biological aging. So this biological aging is what we are going to be worried about, and that is what we will be studying in this course of lecture. A video lecture is uploaded. Probably you might have got this one. Otherwise, I'll re-upload it. Yes, there are some technical issues in connecting because of the Zoom settings that I have that we will rectify in the next class. So if you not received this video lecture, I'll upload it again, or also I'll also record this lecture and I'll upload it in the YouTube and I'll give it. Okay, so now we have discussed about the hallmarks of our aging, right? So what are the hallmarks? We have already discussed, probably we have studied the hallmarks of cancer and the revised new hallmarks of cancer. Both the things you might have studied in cancer biology as well as stem cell classes, right? Similarly, we have certain hallmarks for aging. So these hallmarks are, you can say, certain markers or specific events that actually define the process of your aging. Okay, so the first hallmark is the DNA repair enzymes non-functioning, right? Second one is the reactive oxygen species, telomere attrition, cellular senescence, insulin signaling cascade, mTORC1 pathway, chromatin modification, stem cell exhaustion, and epigenetic alterations. Since you are in the third year, probably you know the meaning of each and every word that is described in this slide. For example, you know what is a telomere. We have studied that extensively in the cell culture classes, animal cell culture classes, right? How telomere helps in preventing the Hayflick limit and other things. Senescence is again a aging process, a death of cell. It is very different from the apoptosis we have studied. And insulin signaling cascade and the mTOR pathway is the new one that we are going to be studying. Otherwise, all the other things like DNA repair, ROS, telomere attrition, mTOR probably might have studied that in the stem cell. Anyway, we will see that again. Chromatin modifications, stem cell exhaustion, and epigenetic alterations. So we know what are DNA repair enzymes. So what is the function of these repair enzymes? We know that most of our polymerases do have certain levels of error while replicating our DNA, and every time and again these errors are proofreaded. Still, there is a chance of getting error for specific polymerases. We know that there are certain polymerases which are very fiddle, whereas the other polymerases are a little bit liberal. So somehow there are errors that are made during the copying of your DNA. So this copying of DNA, right, has to be corrected. That has been regularly done by the DNA repair enzymes like your AP endonucleases, right? So depending upon the ability of the DNA repair enzymes, the longevity of these cells increases. For example, if you have a very good high fidel DNA repair enzyme, there is a more chance for you to live longer. So what happens is, remember this DNA repair enzymes also encoded in our genes. So as the time progress, there will be accumulation of mutations in the DNA repair enzyme genes also. So this causes this particular enzymes to lose their functionality. So if that happens, cells will be in greater trouble because the mechanism itself is getting repaired. So as the time progress, that is why the cells are not able to repair their DNA efficiently, and eventually that leads to the other aging process. So this probably all of you know this movie. I just included this image in this slide because you know this condition is called the Amitabh Bachchan movie, right? Hutchinson-Gilford progeria. So the progeria is a conditions in which you can see the symptoms of the old ages at a very early stages of your life. Even the child will look like a very old person due to the mutations. It is a genetic mutations. So, so the probably this video, right? I have given you this link, right? Probably if you have time, we can look at this video where you can see the actual child with this kind of conditions and how the aging process looks like. So this, how this is happening? This is because of the accumulation of the DNA damage, because of loss of DNA repair mechanisms. Okay, so exogenously, the radiation, chemicals, and other things will attack and damage our DNA. Endogenously, ROS and replication errors also accumulate the DNA damage. This leads to the cancer or your defects in the cellular function and cell death. Both this contribute to the age. So what happens? The DNA repair enzymes, it loses their ability to repair the incorrect base pairs, and this increases the chance of age. That is one way of cells are getting aged. The second and the most important factor that contribute to the aging is the reactive oxygen species, right? So probably we can see your sunscreen creams or the diets that are prescribed to keep you young. All of them will contain polyphenols. So the main purpose of the polyphenols is to quench the free radicals. Now, free radicals are the reactive oxygen species that you studied in your school chemistry, right? They have this lone pair of electrons that is going to break the bond. They are very much reactive, and they always cleave the bond that is nearby. But remember, if you look at this diagram carefully, you can see that every reactive oxygen species is not harmful. We also need the reactive oxygen species for certain purposes. For example, uh, you can see that proliferative responses, even for the normal oxidation process, even the peroxidations, these kind of reactions are required for the homeostasis, right? If the ROS is present in balance, okay, then it helps in maintaining the homeostasis. You know the homeostasis, what is it? So this homeostasis maintenance, we need ROS, but we have problems if there is less reactive oxygen species or if there is more reactive oxygen. Most of the time, this is what we are worried about because of our pollution and the drastic environmental changes that we are observing in the world. This actually causes the increase in the reactive oxygen species. They may be due to the ultraviolet light, ionizing radiations, chemotherapeutics, inflammatory cytokinins, environmental toxins, everything, right? Everything contributes to the increase in the ROS. At the same time, this use of this particular ROS is balanced by the superoxide dismutases. You might have studied that. Vitamins A, B, C, you know that they are very good antioxidants. So we have antioxidant defenses in our system. Sometimes these organelles, mitochondria, peroxisome, lipoxygenases, all your internal enzymes also contribute to the maintenance of the homeostasis of your ROS. But if there is less ROS, you can see this is the problem. You have impaired physiological functions. It is actually helps and decrease the proliferative response, and the host defense mechanism is reduced. But increased ROS is concerned. So we have the random cellular damage happens because most of your proteins and lipids got the peroxidized, damaged, double bonds are getting broken. and the specific signaling pathways get altered. The cell will be under stress that will cause us aging, disease, and cell death. Okay, so uh, so this ROS is an important factor, second important factor on the hallmark for your aging. So how mitochondria actually contribute this process? Okay. Initially, they thought that the ROS is the only culprit. Then they realized that uh, the control of the ROS is happening in the mitochondria. So this mitochondria, we know that it's not simply a production house for ATP. It's involved in plenty of processes. I'll show it in the next slides. It is very must for the cell to maintain its homeostasis. Also, uh, it contributes. You know that it has its own DNA. Sometimes this DNA will be inserted into the genomic DNA. Now, so many events that is happening during the mitochondrial functioning, and most of the now there are people trying to do a lot of disease control mechanism by targeting this mitochondria. Probably, I have one of the project in my lab where we try to target this particular mitochondria using specific peptides. Some of you who work in my lab know this, right? We fusion peptide with mitochondria. Okay, so this you can see that mitochondria is the chief target for the radical damage, right? So it is the one that controls the reactive oxygen species. It also has this mitochondrial DNA. So we also have a hallmarks for mitochondrial aging. You can see that the mitochondria may reduce in number, volume, and the reticulum is fragmented. That shows that something is wrong with your mitochondria. And the quality wise, you can see the increased ROS, oxidative damage, mutagenesis, copy number of the mitochondrial DNA is getting reduced. Loss of membrane potential, we know that in one way of measuring the viability of the cell is measuring its membrane potential, and mitochondrial membrane potential is a very good indicator of the proper functioning of your mitochondria. And in impaired respiration, you know that obviously if you attack the mitochondria, respiration will get affected and ATP supply is setting out. The other problem is the mitochondrial DNA. Unlike your genomic DNA, mitochondrial DNA is not covered with proteins, right? It's not inside a chromosome. So they are very easily amenable to the reactive oxygen species attack. You can see several mitochondrial mutations because of the oxidation process that is happening in the mitochondria. So as I told you, this fragmented mitochondria sometimes transported to the genomic DNA, and sometimes you can see the integration of the fragmented mitochondrial DNA in the genomic DNA also. And this telomere represents third hallmark that we have already studied elaborately. We know that telomeres are very important, and if there is no telomerase, every time this part of your chromosome is getting lost during each replication, so to cover up, we have the enzyme called the telomerase, HRT telomerase that will replicate. Those things we have studied very much elaborately in the animal cell culture classes. And this process of telomere attrition is happening in the aging process. After certain time, the cells will lose the ability to attach, synthesize and attach the telomeric part to it. So the telomeric shortening is important process through which the aging happens, and even the senescence, premature aging diseases like the one that we have seen earlier, replicative. So all these things happen because of the shortening of the telomerase. You also know what is the Hayflick limit. The number of times a cell could be passaged. That means every replication there will be some part of the chromosome getting lost. Then the other one is the cellular senescence. So senescence is the irreversible cell cycle arrest. So that we have a very elaborate mechanism for controlling the cell cycle, because that is very important process. Otherwise, you will get cancer. So we know that inflammatory cytokinins, P53, all those important proteins that are involved in the cell cycle process. You might have studied that in the cell signaling. Okay, so those processes that make the cells to get arrested in one cell cycle. That means the proliferative efficiency of the cell is lost. So the reasons are telomere shortening, genotoxic stress, mitogens, and inflammatory cytokinins. So all these things, what happens is the activation of the p53 tumor suppressor and the cyclin dependent kinases. These two you might have studied. So p53, you know, it is an important regulator of cell cycle. Then they have proposed a theory called wear and tear theory. That means that the cells progressive damage. It's like any other machine which is functioning for a long period of time tend to get deteriorate, and they thought that it is one way of everybody is coming inside. There is no problem of getting into the class. So the p53 can be activated in several ways. They may be getting activated through DNA damage, or you can see that this diagram will tell you, right? Cell cycle, the p53 activation actually leads to cell cycle arrest, DNA repair, or senescence, or apoptosis. All the four possibilities are there due to the activation of the p53. But the manifestation of this will be depending upon what kind of other parameters, like your cell depletion or the tissue, what is happening. Accordingly, it may either affect the health span or tumor suppression or the aging pressure. So the p53 again an important factor in the cellular senescence. Then they later found out there is one more important factor that actually involves in the cellular signaling pathways. So that is like insulin signaling cascade. So they have done this pathway. They studied this pathway particularly in C. elegans and Drosophila. So they have studied that there is a conserved genetic pathway. So whatever we have seen so far is other cellular process. You know that cell cycling control is a normal process. Your aging, senescence, p53, repair of DNA, all these processes are the naturally occurring cellular process with the different functions, but the loss in the homeostasis of these functions leads to aging. But here you can see there is a dedicated specific genetic pathway particularly used for aging. So you can select this particular pathway and modify it so that you can study it. That means that you can fiddle with this pathway to engineer different recombinant constructs that will interfere with this pathway and see their effect on the organisms and understand how the aging process works. So this pathway involves insulin and insulin-like growth factors. So DAF2 is one of the insulin receptor family. So insulin receptors, we know that they are present in all the cells that are required for the this is where the insulin comes and binds, and it opens up the channels through which the glucose will be transported inside the cell. So in the favorable conditions, that means C. elegans, you know that these organisms They are not sure about the environment. Anytime the environment get deteriorated, and they'll go to a kind of a resting stage. So this causes DAR formation. The DAR is some kind of resist. You can compare it with the spore formation in fungus or bacteria. When the environmental conditions are not good, they just secrete a coat around them. Their metabolic activity got reduced, and they'll go to a stage where there is no much energy spent, so that they can live longer. So this is called DAR formation. This is commonly observed in the case of your C. elegans. So if DAF2 is active, okay, so what happens? This receptors, the cells become very active, the metabolic process are getting activated, and adulthood is formed. That means the C. elegans will so the C. elegans will be so the C. elegans will move into the normal process of adulthood. But if the environment is very poor, so what happens there is the activation of DF2 receptor is not going to be there. So the worm will go into the less metabolic active DAR formation. So this DF2 is highly conserved. You can see that similar receptors are found in mammal as well as the insects. DF2, IGF-1 beta, and the INR. So they all activate a protein, fork-head transcription factor. Okay, you can see all the three are the fork-head transcription factor, highly conserved one. In the C. elegans, it is DAF16, they call it as. In the mouse, they call it as FOXO. And the Drosophila, it is Drosophila FOXO. All of them, what they do is, if it get activated, this receptor, if it get inhibited, you can see that there is an increase in the lifespan. Okay, so that increase the longevity of the organism. So it is now it is kind of a parabola. You reduce the metabolic activity, make the cells grow slowly, age slowly, and it will increase the longevity. But if the conditions are favorable, you accelerate the growth so that you quickly go to the reproductive stage and develop. Okay, so you can see that some of the controls are coming from the gonad. The problem with the long living is it reduces the fertility. So if the conditions are favorable, you grow quick, become fertile easily, use the environmental condition, reproduce. If the conditions are not good, you go to a less metabolic state, you live longer, but the cost is that your fertility is going to get reduced. That is the choice the organism has to make. The other pathway is the mTOR pathway. This pathway, again, you might have studied that in the stem cells. Okay, this is a rapamycin, is a secondary metabolite isolated from the streptomyces, and they know that they target certain protein. They are called as mammalian target of rapamycin. So it implicated in many processes like aging, cellular senescence, immune response. You go and you name anything, you can see the involvement of mTOR, and the mTOR has been target for the cancer biologists for a long period of time. So mTOR has two components, TORC1 and TORC2. So it is a kinase. This information you already know. So this is how your mTOR complex looks like. So insulin signaling pathway activate the mTORC1. So you know that if you block the mTOR, the longevity is increasing. Okay. So insulin signaling pathway depress FOXO and activate mTORC1. So what happens? It reduces the caloric restriction. So if you are hungry, so you can be live longer at the cost of reduced healthy. So mTOR is associated with a significant lifespan increase. So it protects against the age-related pathologies. Also, it helps in the tissue damage. That's why they are targeting the mTOR. So it also inhibits the autophagy. But the problem is if the autophagy is removed, you can see that the accumulation of the cellular garbage is going to be very high because there is no replacement of the damaged organelles and the cells. So that is the problem here. Okay, the connectivity current has gone for my internet.